The three refuges. Udam saranam gacchami.
Buddham saranam gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Sangham saranam gacchami.
Good morning and welcome to you all. Thank you so much for coming out today. We're just so happy to see everyone and share the Dharma and be together. And it's Ohigan. Ohigan is celebrating the equinox. So that's why the Dharma talk today is on the middle way, balancing between light and dark. So it's just a reminder twice a year that we should think of finding that middle path in our lives. So as we start our service this morning, we will chant the Shoshinge, which was written by our lineage founder, Shinran Shonin, over 800 years ago. And you'll find that Shoshinge book in the seat back pocket in front of you or slightly behind you. And you may chant it in vertical columns from right to left. So traditional Japanese. If you read it like we read English, you'll be totally lost instantly. So the Shoshinge compresses all of Shinran's teachings into one pleasantly long poem. And he tells us that we are responsible for sharing his insights with each other and extending it into the future, from way back in the past to now and into the future. So as we as we chant, we're offering incense to Amida Buddha, the Buddha of infinite wisdom and compassion, or a dear teacher, or just in gratitude to everything that surrounds you in your life. So it's good to come into this sacred space and feel that gratitude and compassion. It's important. We have two other altars on our Naidan, the Kannon altar that cultivates more compassion, or you may light a candle for someone who has recently transitioned, and then our Medicine Buddha altar for a little more healing energy. You can do that for yourself as well as direct it towards a loved one. So please chant and offer incense in deep gratitude to all of our teachers. Namon Dops, Namon Dops, Namon Dops. Shoshinge. Kimyo Muryo Junyo Rai
なしぎこ法蔵菩薩院に寺財政自在応部省東県勝負浄土院国土人間自然幕根流無常修正願長法慶有大偶税五公私有死小十十世妙正文字法不法無量無変更無下無体公縁の少女歓喜知恵公不断難死無所故超日が交渉人生一切群上無交渉本願名号少女語死心心行願に因上等学章大涅槃非死滅道願成就如来所意公主世唯世弥陀本願会五辱悪事運上会法身如来如実言の法一年喜愛心不断煩悩特涅槃本性逆法さえ有妙種真如海一味聖主信仰上昇後意の水波無明暗本来心臓死運無上不信じ信心天非尿に幸福運無運無死下妙無安逆心謙虚大狂気即応超税合悪臭異彩全幕本部人門心如来偶税願仏願広大小芸者税人名踏んだりけ弥陀部本願念部邪見教魔なく修上信行十字人に難修士な昔インド祭天子論下宗家自治域思考層現代諸公正小位妙如来本税王妃釈迦如来ヨガ戦一種五妙難天竺龍樹大事修道生質の財波有無権先税大乗無情報召喚議事小安楽賢治難行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀部本願次年即時入上唯の上昇如来語王法大悲偶税王天神菩薩増論世奇妙無下公如来永寿他ら謙信寺高専王朝大聖願高有本願力栄光異道群上小威信非入空毒大崩壊筆脈入大永寿主特使蓮華造世界即昇進用法昇進有法の人間人図入所自音自王下本自動乱両天地上皇乱所菩薩来三蔵ルシ十上教本所専業気楽法天神菩薩論中下報道因果見世願大下霊光有他力少女死因唯信心惑前本部信心法承知生じ即涅槃 非死無量光明道小宇宙上回復系同社継承道南省唯名浄土活入万全自力変言宗円満徳語感染症三部三神慶音言増魔法明道非因一生増悪地偶税思安妖怪称名化全道独名無償意公愛上作両逆悪公明明語権二年介入本願大地会幼者小樹金剛心表記一年総合用意大と逆三人即小法小四上楽現進公開一大教返帰安養官二祭先祖出身反戦人法系二道小弁流極重悪人唯勝負外薬剤非正集中本能証言水不見大非無見上昇が本次元空明仏教連民全幕本部人新宗教書後編集戦弱本願具悪性現来生じ臨伝芸慶地義上位小子即入弱上無意楽一心時に納入苦境大自主死と上妻無変極辱悪同族自主愚道心唯過信し高祖世ナムアミダアブナムアミダアブナアムアミダアブナムアミダブナアムアミダアブナムミダジョブのこの方は今に自己へたまええりほしんのこうりいえぬきわもな悪せのもみょうを照らすなりナムアミダアブナムアミダアブ ナムは阿弥陀仏なむ阿弥陀仏ナムは阿弥陀仏ナムは阿弥陀仏ナムは阿弥陀仏ナムは阿弥陀仏ナム下駄の降臨気はもなし幸不足かむるものはみいな有無を離ると述べたもおう平等確に奇妙せよ栄光願にし功徳平等聖祭と菩提心往生は安らこナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブVery nice. Now we would like to invite the children to go to Dharma school with Reverend Shelley. We can sing a cappella. Let the Buddha walk with you. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk, just walk. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk with you. Let the Buddha walk, just walk. Let the Buddha walk with you.
Good morning. This is a verse by Nagarjuna entitled Self. Were mind and matter me, I would come and go like them. If I were something else, they would say nothing about me. What is mine when there is no me? Were self-centeredness eased, I would not think of me and mine. There would be no one there to think them. What is inside is me. What is outside is mine. When these thoughts end, compulsion stops, repetition ceases, freedom dawns. Fixation spawns thoughts that provoke compulsive acts. Emptiness stops fixations. Buddhas speak of self and also teach no self, and also say there is nothing which is either self or not. When things dissolve, there's nothing left to say. The unborn and unceasing are already free. Buddha said, it is real and it is unreal, and it is both real and unreal, and it is neither one nor the other. It is all at ease, unfixable by fixations, incommunicable, inconceivable, indivisible. You are not the same as or different from causes and conditions you depend on. You are neither severed from nor forever fused with them. This is the deathless teaching of Buddhas who care for the world. When Buddhas don't appear and their followers are gone, the wisdom of awakening bursts forth by itself. We will now have a few moments of meditation accompanied by music.
Bell music. I've made it. The thing about these meditation stools is they're slanted. So if I come up here and I set it down the wrong way, it's like an ejection seat. Gravity pushes me backward, so I have to have the presence of mind to feel with certain parts of the body that the bench is in the incorrect position and then adjust. Thank you for bearing with me. And I'm sure if it went wrong, somebody would come rushing up and collect the parts and pieces of Humpty Dumpty. Well, hello and welcome everyone to Reno Buddhist Center. Thank you for being here. I will add my welcome to Reverend Shelley's welcome. I'm still kind of feeling some energy from yesterday. We had a seminar on building your own memorial service and really considering the possibility, the certainty, dare I say, of your own passing and think about, well, what would you want to have for your friends and your loved ones when you're gone? And the first time, what could you put together, what could you plan now that would help them then with that transition? You'll be okay. The Bodhisattva Kanon will take you by the hand as the last breath leaves your bodily form, and your karmic consciousness will go onward to the Pure Land in the West. But they're stuck here, and they've lost a dear friend or a loved one of even closer connection, and so they need your help now for then. It's interesting, I'm advertising a seminar that has already occurred, but inside I'm still feeling that experience and still want to encourage people to think about those things. And it's just wonderful that we support each other and share and can consider a weighty topic. Some people are far away from it. Do we really know that? And then some folks have a death that's coming, maybe not themselves, maybe someone in their family that's pretty imminent. So we also thank Walton's Funeral Home for providing lunch, which was very kind of them, and they're helpful and will bend to the Buddhist customs in a way that other funeral homes in town are less able to bend. So, as Reverend Shelley said, today, that was yesterday, so today, we are celebrating the Fall Equinox, a perfect balance between daylight and darkness that occurs on the equinox day, a natural balance, the middle of two extremes. For Buddhists in particular, it's a natural reminder of the balance of life. If we've gone off course a bit in the last 6 months, we can correct and try to reestablish a sense of middle way in each day. And we know that 6 months from now, there'll be another Dharma talk about the middle way because it'll be another equinox, and so it flows onward. A nice, gentle reminder from the planet and the solar system around us. Have any of you noticed the sense of seasons changing? Yeah, there's some nodding heads. Well, today was a stark change, but even so, it feels, more fallish. So something is up in nature at this time. Even I noticed that we don't need to cool the room, and yet we don't need to heat the room. That's that wonderful, pleasant middle time, where we consider our Ohigan tradition. Ohigan means the other shore, which means enlightenment. Another word for Ohigan is paramita, which means perfection, sometimes translated as perfection. It's interesting we would describe the other shore. If this is the difficult shore, then there's another place we can be that's wonderful, peaceful, insightful. It's the other shore. It's perfection. So, my subtitle today, probably not printed anywhere, but in my mind, is thinking about Nagarjuna's gift. Nagarjuna is the poet and teacher that Chris read one of his poems called Self. His A painting of him is behind me, the first one of our 7 teachers. I won't turn around because there's a whole bunch of other problems that happen with the stool. But it's probably hard to see from where you are because it's a pretty faint thing. He lived in about the year 200 in the Common Era, so a while ago. But his poem seems so insightful and tuned in to what we experience now. Sometimes that's amazing to me. So, his gifts. He founded a school of Buddhism called the Madhyamaka, which is the middle way school. And he's pretty famous. Some people call him the second Buddha, kind of re-energized Buddhism at that point in time. He was born in a Brahmin family, so he was a nice Hindu boy, and had a colorful life in his early years. He and a friend took to sneaking into the king's palace and then seeking out the harem quarters and seducing the king's wives. That's like in the lore of his life, in his biography. That's the first chapter. Seems a little sketchy. Pretty sketchy. It did result in Nagarjuna's friend that he was doing this with being executed, beheaded. So Nagarjuna narrowly escaped, and it kind of created a shift in his life. It was a time to change gears because clearly craving was leading to suffering. And so he converted to Buddhism and became ultimately an important, initially a wonderful student, obviously, and then became a wonderful teacher that we value greatly. He studied the teachings of Buddhism that was available at the time, the Theravada teachings like in Sri Lanka. I've studied those too. And but he didn't feel like that was his path. It didn't resonate for him. He was introduced to the Mahayana teaching, and that sparked his interest. He wanted more. So he spent much of his life seeking out those less popular sutras of the Buddha that had been preserved in many places and sort of protected from the dominant Theravada. You know how that is. If one thing ascends and the king thinks it's great, then the other thing kind of gets a little bit less attention, or maybe you get in trouble if you read it. It was that kind of, those sort of days. So he is credited with the discovery of the wisdom discourses, the Prajnaparamita Sutras, that are dialogues between the Buddha and his wonderful students. And they explore what is called emptiness. Or shunyata, maybe it's a better word. Emptiness is the English word. Shunyata is the Sanskrit word, and it means the middle way of being. Not eternal, not non-existence, nihilism, something like that. Something in between. So that is Nagarjuna's gift to us as a teacher, and you might see why we would talk about this on the Ohigan Middle Equinox Day, because it's a time to talk about that. This concept of shunyata, unfortunately, the translation emptiness is awkward. But many of you have heard it before. Some of you have endured me trying to explain it before, but thank you for hanging with me. The way we use this word in Buddhism is prone to misunderstanding, and that's why I'm pausing there. Nagarjuna even warned us that, quote, emptiness wrongly grasped is like picking up a poisonous snake by the wrong end. So, in other words, it can bite you, yeah. Now, where have we heard that before? Some of you were here last Sunday we were here together, and it was a whole sutra on the proper way to grasp a snake, or the proper way to catch a snake. So, I just love that when these kind of things all come together. Nagarjuna read that sutra, and that's why he said that. And I accidentally read it a few weeks ago, and we're all connected by the Dharma. So, usually when we use this word empty, it's just not good. If your tank's empty, you're not going to go any further. But shunyata is not like that. If we feel empty, that means we're sad and depressed. And no matter how often we remind ourselves that Buddhist emptiness doesn't mean loneliness, it's like the word has an undertow that always pulls us back there. And then I have to say, oh, wait, remember. Modern teachers have tried to look around for a better translation word, a better way to describe what clearly Nagarjuna meant by shunyata. And the translations they like are something like fullness, or maybe spaciousness, or boundlessness. You can hear this is very different from when we hear the word empty. Shunryu Suzuki, a wonderful, famous teacher from San Francisco, used to define it this way. Emptiness, shunyata, is like being at your mother's bosom, knowing she will take care of you. That feels really full, doesn't it? Warm and nurturing, not empty at all. And that's this puzzling point. We use the word shunyata to invoke non-duality of everything. When you're there being held, even when we hold little baby Emery, you might notice that Will and Aaron are not here. They're home caring for the little baby Emerson. He's a month and 2 weeks, month and a week and a half. I'm checking with another grandmother to see what the detail of that is, but he's a little peanut and he needs care. So that feeling when you're holding a baby, it's almost like it doesn't feel, you don't feel separate, you know? They're connected to you, you're connected to them. That we're not going to talk about it. We have no opinions. Sometimes they may be uncomfortable, and you can care for that. But really, when you're just hanging out with them, you feel connected. So I think that's what Shunryu Suzuki, that's the grandparents' point of view on what Shunryu Suzuki was saying about being held. And so we are held that way. It doesn't always feel like it, but we are. No two things are really separate. They are interdependent and have no inherent existence on their own. We often express this non-duality in the paradox. We say samsara is nirvana. So samsara is our difficult, suffering-filled, conditioned world, and is nirvana, which is the unburdened existence of reality, just experiencing it truly as it is, peaceful. So those two realities are interpenetrating. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh, his definition starts with this idea that we can't understand emptiness without answering an important question. The important question is empty of what? So, he wrote in a commentary on the Heart Sutra, which I was going to say is right there, and sure enough, it's right there. There's the Heart Sutra. And that's the Bodhisattva Kanon that the quote is about. So, the Bodhisattva Kanon, while moving in deep course of perfect understanding, shed light on the 5 skandhas and found them all equally empty. Bodhisattva, I might mention, means 2 words put together. Bodhi means awake, and sattva is a living being. So an awakened being is what a bodhisattva is. All of us are sometimes bodhisattvas, sometimes not. Kanon is our dear bodhisattva of compassion. Her name means the one who hears the cries of the world. So she is very popular. That's important. Kanon gives us the gift of non-fear because she herself has transcended fear. According to Kanon in the Heart Sutra, the order of service that we gave out to you, she would say it is empty. But in what we've been talking about, Shunryu Suzuki's definition, it's the order of service would be full. You know what I mean when I say order of service? I should have used the prop, this piece of paper. So how can it be full and empty? That is puzzling. It is a paradox. I always find in the Buddha's teaching, if you get to something that's a paradox, there's something important there to study, consider. So, looking back at the 5 skandhas, or what we say, the 5 heaps, or the 5 aggregates, they are the 5 aspects or elements that comprise all beings. These 5 elements flow like a river in every one of us. In fact, there are really 5 rivers flowing together in us. The river of form, which means like our body, the river of feelings, the river of perceptions, the river of mental formations, and the river of consciousness, all flowing together for existing to occur. They're always flowing in us. And so according to Kanon, when she looked deeply into the nature of these 5 rivers, she suddenly saw they're all empty. So we ask, Thich Nhat Hanh says we should ask, empty of what? And she says, empty of separateness, a separate self, empty of separate existence. Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh says they can't be without interbeing. So he made up this word, interbeing. I think in French it sounds even more fancy because he was writing in French at the time. I don't speak French well enough to guess what it means, but I can kind of imagine. Okay. If you look at our body, everybody has a little laboratory to examine, so you could do that. You have lungs, heart, kidneys, stomach, blood, all these things. None of them can exist independently. They can only coexist with the others. It's like that. Your lungs and your blood are 2 things, but they can't exist separately. That is interesting. It's indicative. It's a little tiny insight that we can broaden. The lungs take in air and oxygenate the blood, and in turn the blood nourishes the lungs. So, without the blood, the lungs cannot be alive. And without the lungs, the blood cannot be alive. Lungs and blood coexist. They interbe. The same is true with all the organs of your body, and our teacher Nagarjuna happened to write a poem about this. It's called Body. It's a little tricky, so I'm going to try to read slowly. I have a body apart from parts which form it. I know no parts apart from a body. A body with no parts would be unformed. A part of my body, apart from my body, would be absurd. Were the body here or not, it would need no parts. Partless bodies are pointless. Do not get stuck in the body. I cannot say my body is like its parts. I cannot say something else. Feelings, perceptions, drives, mind, things are all like this body in every way. Conflict with emptiness is no conflict. Objections to emptiness, no objections. He clearly has a sense of humor and very interesting insight. So, in this way, the parts of the body are empty. They are empty of a separate, independent existence. They cannot be by themselves. They have to exist in a body. They have to coexist but they also have to coexist and interbe with sunshine, clouds, the forest, farmers, the mind, and everything else in the universe. It's true of everything. Now we need to step over the word empty. Empty of a separate self means full of everything. What Nagarjuna looked deeply into the five skandhas of form, feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, and he discovered that none of them can be by itself alone. Each can only coexist with all the others. He showed us that. He showed us that form is empty. Form is empty of separate existence, but it is full of everything else in the cosmos. The same is true of feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. He shows us emptiness of separateness is everywhere. Here is an important meditation on shunyata I will share with you. The view of emptiness in our Shin Buddhist path. It is the Nembutsu. Here, the scroll says, Namu Amida Butsu. Most of us offered incense this morning during the Shoshinge chanting. And what is very important is the intention and feeling tone that we bring to that ritual. It's a very full ritual. We approach the altar with heightened awareness. We bow in respect for the Buddha. We place the nenju on our left hand. This is the important part, sort of. We place the nenju on our left hand like this. And this symbolizes little me, individual self. So we're seeing the world as us and them, the other. And we put those together, and we greet the Buddha. Then we make the offering of incense. Even though the temple provides the incense, you are giving a gift, and that gift is given in gratitude. Now, all of you have given gifts to the temple, and so in some fungible way, that you have given the incense. And when you offer it, there's an action you're giving in that moment. Now, what kind of gift can we give Amida Buddha? Infinite wisdom and infinite compassion in an infinite universe. What do you give somebody who has everything, right? There's nothing that I possess that would be worthy, but my gratitude is a wonderful gift. I give 2 pinches of incense in gratitude, feeling buoyancy, that feeling of kind of having it all, like, wow, thank you. That feeling. We really focus on Amida Buddha when we're there at the altar. The altar, that opening is a window into Amida Buddha's Pure Land. It's actually a little diorama that depicts what the descriptions of the Pure Land are like. So, infinite life and infinite light is Amida. Wisdom and compassion imbued in the universe. After we give that gift, we bow. To do that, we adjust the nenju and in such a way that it encircles both hands. In this way, they're one. My small self and the vastness of everything else are connected in this gesture, and connected by or bound by the feeling of gratitude. I bow with that feeling, the thank you so much feeling, the having it all feeling, and not the materialistic, I wish I had a new iPhone having it all, but really being held, never to be let go, like Suzuki Sensei when his mother's holding him. Now, when I bow like this, it is really sort of Amida Buddha bowing to Amida Buddha. The bow is bowing me. It's not me bowing. Maybe as Nagarjuna could say in one of his unknown poems. It's a moment of profound connection to everything that is, everything that was, and everything that will be. This bow is a moment spent in that middle, the true middle of everything. So that's a meditation on the middle way from our Shin Buddhist point of view. Shinran actually begins the Shoshinge exclaiming, so maybe when we chant it we should exclaim more, "How inconceivable! Throughout the universe, ceaseless, boundless, immeasurable activity of Namu Amida Butsu awakens me to what is real and what is true." An authentic, pervasive human voice from Shinran. He encountered Amida Buddha at the very center of himself and was rescued from a dead, senseless, purposeless universe of lives, rescued from the ocean of birth and death. Even now, he lives in the land of bliss. From the Shoshinge that we chanted, I'll quote another bit. The mind of true and trusting, Shinjin, arises from my awakening to reality of Amida's great vow. No need to sever evil passions to reach nirvana. Ordinary people, priests, skeptics, we who break the 5 precepts, all of us, equally, just as we are. Though like various polluted rivers, become one taste on entering the ocean of the vow. One taste, shunyata, emptiness, fullness, spaciousness, connectedness, boundlessness, empty of separateness. I'm just trying to drown out the phone. Empty of separateness. Our evil karma is not destroyed, but it is transformed in shunyata. And samsara and nirvana are not separate. Once our mind is united with Amida and the Buddha nature gifted to us through true and trusting, through Shinjin, then we won't fall back. We are born in a pure land of sorts. Nagarjuna's verses from the middle are an important part of Buddhism. Today, we find ourselves in a day with equal parts of day and night, and that's a reminder. Semi-annually. Obviously, once a year is not enough for us. We need a little more reminding than that, so that's okay. Life is somewhere in between. Life is between I, me, mine, and everything. It's somewhere here. It reminds us that we are part of this great vastness. We are an integral part of the great vastness. And we can take refuge there, here. It is our true home. And we are all in this together. Thank you for your kind attention. Let's share the blessing with each other. Just repeat after me. May you be happy. May you receive boundless compassion. May you be free from harm. And may peace and harmony fill your heart. That was interesting. I seem to have said it in a different order this time. Okay. So, at this point, we usually sing our Reno Buddhist Center theme song together. So, but I have to tell you a story. Those of you who are dying to stand up. So our dear AV person, Galen, is unwell today, and so he's not here. He is an interconnected link to Masako's playing of the piano, which occurred about 5 years ago, that is recorded in the memory matrix of the piano. So, Masako cannot play the piano for us right now if Galen is not here to push the button. So we're going to have to do it all together a cappella. We know the song well enough, we'll just sing it together and like that. You can see why I needed to explain that. I guess I will lead. I probably need the words, because sometimes I fudge them. Could you hand me a shoshinge? There were 2 versions of it, and I sometimes accidentally sing the old version of it, and it would be most confusing to everyone if I did that. Okay. Away, away, come away with me, where the grass grows wild and the winds blow free. Away, away, come away with me, and I'll build you a home in the meadow. Come, come, there's a wondrous land for the hopeful heart and the willing hand. Come, come, there's a wondrous land where I'll build you a home in the meadow. The stars, oh how bright and far, on a world of pure and eternal law. The stars, oh how bright they'll shine, on the home we will build in the meadow. Come, come, there's a wondrous land for the hopeful heart and the willing hand. Come, come, there's a wondrous land where I'll build you a home in the meadow. Namandaps, namandaps, namandaps. Thank you. That went very well. We usually share some announcements at this point. A spontaneous announcement is if anybody is sort of technically pretty good at things and would be able to be kind of on call for the occasional moment when we don't have an AV person, you would need to be trained and everything, but to be the fill-in AV person, I call out to the universe, which always provides this need. So a more immediate need is that we have tea and treats downstairs through this door. Wind your way down there. We can have a nice conversation about the Dharma and meet new folks and like that. There will also be a newcomer circle there. George Killeran, he's raising his hand there. He will be down there at that table. So if you're new and you have questions about Buddhism, please come down and say hello there. That's kind of a special interactive time where you can ask actual questions as opposed to just wondering about things and wandering out the door. So a bunch of other announcements are in here. We should mention, however, that in October, on October 8th, we will have another Moon Rabbit Cafe dinner. It will be Oktoberfest. So sausages and stuff like that, both vegan and meatitarian. And it will be wonderful. That will be on October 8th, Saturday. Volunteer to help if you like. If you also invite all your friends on Facebook and like that. Thank you all so much. And then the music starts and yeah. Oh my, the recording is still running. I better turn it off.